Hi, this is Cayman with S&B, and today I'm going to show you how to install our high capacity fuel tank for 1999 to 2007 extended cab as well as crew cab long bed trucks. So this is a crew cab behind us. It looks a little bit different because they kind of put some of the body panels of a 6.7 on it, but this is a 2005 truck. You can tell by the door handles as well as underneath the truck. This is definitely a 6-liter. So it fits the 7.3 as well as the 6-liter trucks. This is the crew cab with 4 full doors. The extended cab will have that half door that opens up from the front back. We're gonna get started on the install. This can be done on the ground. We're gonna do it on the lift today because it keeps my back a little bit cleaner and a little bit easier, and you can see it on video better, but totally doable on the ground, and we'll get started right away. Now, before you start the install, the tank ends right about here. We have it out right now, and there's this cross member. If you had a X cross member or a V-shaped cross member or anything in front of this cross member in between here and the transfer case, you won't be able to install the tank. So there's only like a select number of trucks. I think it's 1999, but you should check before to make sure you don't have anything hanging up here or in front that would cause interference with our tank. That's gonna come forward and land right here. So the first step is gonna be removing the filler and the vent. This customer has a train horn kind of in the way, so it's gonna kind of make it a little bit harder for you to see, and I don't really wanna take it completely off, so just a wing net up there, and I'm kind of swinging it out of the way, but you can see the 8mm on the filler right there. I got on it. See the hose clamp loosen up. So we're gonna get that pulled off. And then as well as the vent over here, that's another 8mm. So we'll get both of those hoses pulled off. And if they are sticking like that, you can just take a flathead and get the flathead underneath the filler to kind of break it away. Now, after we have the filler out, we're gonna remove the skid plate with some 10 mils. This will not be reused. We'll get the other side and catch it before it falls. Got 2 back here. Now move your jack or put your hand underneath the plate. Now that we have the skid plate out of the way, it's gonna be time to put our jack underneath the tank, or some straps, or if you're doing it on the ground, you can put some blocks or something to support the tank, because what we're gonna wanna do now is get this up to the bottom of the tank, remove the straps, and we're slowly gonna lower the tank so we can get to the top and remove the electrical as well as the return and feed to the engine. So there's 3 things that we need to remove. It can be done without like lowering the tank, and then if you wanna stick your hand up there, but definitely for video and being able to access it helps to lower it about 6 inches. And so you can see where the OEM sending unit rests right here. Do not put the jack directly underneath that. If you've seen those sending units, they like to break. It's just a cone and a rod. So if you put a bunch of pressure, it'll just snap that cone off if it hasn't already fallen off. So we got this supported. Now we'll get these run out. Ready? And these are all 13 mils. We will be reusing the bolts, so make sure you keep track of them. So now for the other side, we go up here above the leaf spring perch. You can see the bolt there. We have our 13 mil on it, and zap it off. Now we can get this strap pulled out. Again, we'll be saving the OEM bolts, and the strap will not be reused. So now the same thing goes for the driver's side bolt. You can see here, I'm just gonna back this one off. And then one more bolt. Make sure you have, proper support under the tank, because you have two fuel lines attached and electrical attached. So if the tank falls, those could rip off. This is our last bolt. So now what we're gonna do is lower down the tank. Start with just about like 6 inches. See, that's plenty right there. Definitely be able to have enough slack to remove everything. So first step is gonna be removing the electrical connector. So you can see here, this is the harness that's attached to the cross member. Depress that button on the back and pull it off. There's electrical. There's one. Now with all 3 connectors removed on top, we'll begin to lower the tank. Okay, now we'll kick out the jack and get it to the ground. So now we're gonna move the filler and the vent on over to the tank. You can see they're in the exact same location. Rip it off with an 8 mil. We'll clean this up a little bit too, but slides right on to the tank. Now we'll get these tightened up. And be really careful not to over tighten this. Recommend doing it by hand. I've done a bunch of them, and you get a feel for when it gets tight. Also make sure that it's not on the inlet, so right past where it seals. So you can move that hose clamp down closer to the base. We're gonna be cracking the ring off. They make tools for this that go over the ring, and you just hit it with a ratchet and just rotates it off. You can just use a dead blow and mallet. And you can see here's the OEM sitting unit assembly. The gauge is going to move up, obviously full, and then down to empty. So that's going to work the exact same way in the S&B tank. This is a resistor, so it's just changing the resistance and sending that reading back to the computer. A very simple build. These bottom funnels are notorious to breaking. I had a 6-liter for a long time, and mine broke. And once it breaks, you have fuel starvation issues, quarter tank issues, where you're driving down, think you have fuel, and it falls off. So this is a good time to replace this, so you don't have to drop the tank and replace it down the road. They're not too expensive. Make sure The O-ring comes off, so the O-ring was actually stuck to the tank there. We're going to be putting a new O-ring on the S&B and get it locked in. So now before you drop it in, set that O-ring just right there in the top of the groove. And I will say we've already done it, but check to make sure there's no plastic debris, nothing inside the tank, no rags, nothing got left in there or dropped in there during shipping. The O-ring already in the groove, the sending unit's ready to be installed, but we just want to take these tabs. These were to index on the stock tank to keep it from rotating. Just bend them up like that, out of the way. I don't think they would affect the O-ring, but just in case, we don't want it to clip the O-ring on the way in. So now it's ready to drop in, just like this, and then this foot will sit right inside the two little baffles in there, and then make sure the lines are sticking straight off like this. So it's in the right position. Now we'll get the ring on. And I'm going to keep holding down the sending unit as this catches thread. Okay, now it caught thread. We're gonna grab those same tools and hit this thing clockwise now. So now we're going to be hanging the U-bolt, which is going to support our front support. So this is right in front of the cross member. This cross member, so this is where the rear strap came from. One more cross member. There's a little gap right here before the cab starts to dip down. If you have an extended cab truck, this might be in a little bit different location. A good way to measure from center line to center line on the front strap to the front mount is 28 inches. So you can kind of have an idea of where it's going to fall. You can also do a dry fit, so you can mark where it's going to go, but this definitely needs to go in before the tank goes in. So now the tank is ready to be installed. When we get it up into the truck, the first thing is we're going to throw this over the frame rail. We're going to make sure that gets thrown over the frame rail, not hung up. Then we're going to make sure that these go up and over the frame rail as well. We don't want them to get sandwiched in between the frame like that. And this is gonna be the first thing we're gonna install. So if they are sandwiched, we can fix it and we don't already have our straps mounted. We'll get this placed on the jack. So we already have the filler and the main vent pulled over the frame rail. Now we could even get started with the front support. And we're gonna leave those on hand tight for now. Now we're gonna replace the front strap and this is the OEM strap. So you can see these are just regular steel. These are stainless steel 409 that have been powder coated and E-coated. Super heavy duty and strong and good looking, just the all black. And so we're doing this front strap because we already have the filler and the vent over the frame rail. They're not pinch. We already have the 3 connections up on the top of the tank, all secure. So we know that this tank's in the right place and we can put these straps on now. Now we're gonna go over to the frame side and get this tightened down. So now before we secure this strap, we're gonna be swapping this slip nut over to this position. So this is one for the fuel tank, this is one for the skid plate. We're not gonna be using the skid plate anymore, which means we can get rid of this. Now replace that position with the bigger slip nut, just like that. You can make sure you have it slipped on correctly by taking a bolt, threading it in. Now we can get this strap installed. Again, we're gonna start with the frame side. And last time we used a kind of medium length extension. So this strap just goes right up here in between the frame and that leaf spring perch. We'll track down that bolt. Then the bolt goes through the strap to find that slip nut. Get that tightened down. Now we'll get the strap pressed up. Then all of our straps are designed to push the tank towards the frame, so push it up, then get it pushed towards the frame. Now with the 19 mil, we'll get these tightened up. So the last couple steps are getting the rollover valve vent routed from the rear up, or from the front to the rear. So this will be ready to go into that filler. We'll get this filler pushed on. Make sure you have that hose clamp on before. Now with your 8 mil, you can get these tightened up. Now that roller valve that we had going to the front, this will just get zip tied up to your filler like this. And that rear filler is just sitting up on top of the tank, and that does not need to be messed with. It's already at the high point. You can find a hole on the frame if you want to just secure it down. It doesn't hurt. Some lines right here next to the horns that you can get it mounted to. And that's the install of the S&B tank. Again, this fits extended cab and crew cab of long bed trucks, 99 to 07. Pretty straightforward install. One thing to note too is there is space in between the tank and the transfer case because it was designed for the fit the extended cab too. And we know how much people like to put compressors, aftermarket lift pumps right in this location. So you do have 17 inches of space. 17 inches of space in between the tank and the transfer case, so plenty of room. Awesome strong tank. You can see how we go underneath the frame here to get even more volume. Nice stainless steel straps. This is that little baffle area around the pickup that we talked about when we dropped in the Cindy unit earlier. Just kind of register where the pickup is. Low profile, looks awesome. Let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.